Joshua Mills and his fiancée Crystal Whitney say Crystal has known the defendant since high school, and they allowed her to move in with him. However, soon after she moved in, Crystal claims the defendant was meeting strange men online and bringing them home. And Crystal even walked in on the defendant having sex on their living room couch. They're suing for unpaid rent. Defendant Mandy LaValle says the reason everything went downhill is because Joshua is an alcoholic who sent her explicit text messages one night propositioning her for sex. Mandy claims the plaintiffs would even ask her to watch their child so they could have sex, and she's countersuing for babysitting fees and harassment.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
State your name.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Crystal Whitney. This is my fiancé, Joshua Mills.
Yes, sir.
So I guess after this case, we are going to have to tell my parents that we are now officially engaged.
Oh, good. Well, you've already told them.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. State your name.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Mandy LaValle.
Let's hear from you all first.
All right, sir. I've known Mandy for approximately 5 years now. I went to high school with her older sisters. During the end of August, we became aware that, due to a bad circumstance, that Mandy's parents were going to lose their home.
August of 2009?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
That they were going to lose their house because their parents were into drugs. Melissa, which is her older sister, came to us, asked me directly if there's any possible way Mandy can stay with us. I felt terrible for the situation she was put in, so we agreed to let her stay with us. Everything went downhill from there. The main thing was she kept bringing numerous guys to the house. She was meeting guys offline, go out on a date, bring them home for sex.
How do you know?
I walked in on it, sir. Me and my 3-year-old daughter. She was having oral sex in the living room couch. That's what she's got a bedroom for her privacy.
Dang. What happened? Did you all discuss?
Yeah, we had a conversation with her stating that that's not right to do. I was worried about the safety of my family because she didn't know these people. She met them offline.
That is dangerous, ma'am. You want to respond to any of this regarding
First of all, Your Honor, when I moved in, it went downhill from there.
That's what they said.
Yeah. Like, they went out numerous times to the bar drinking. That's when I realized he had a problem. Well, when he'd do that, the night before I left the house, he was drunk in his car, send me explicit text message, "I'm horny, come outside." And that was disgusting, and it was gross, and I was like their live-in nanny. I babysat at least 4 times a week, and I have it right here.
How often are you bringing random men in?
No, they'd pick me up, we'd go on a date, and I'd go home. They walked in on me one time, yes, but she walked in on me because she came out and said, "Can you watch Michaela while we have sex?" So, yeah.
Busy house.
All right. What was the agreement on rent?
It was originally just for the month of October that she was going to help babysit our daughter, mainly on Sundays because my parents are the main sitter for her, and they're on a 3-month vacation.
So the agreement was she would babysit on Sundays?
It was she'd babysit, watch the kids, she'd help clean up the house, and then pay us $300 a month if she didn't get a job within the first month.
That's a big part. If she didn't get a job,
because she wasn't making any money.
Too many conditions. So. No wonder you all have to sue her. She's confused like I am, I'm sure.
Your Honor,
Let's start over. She babysits on Sundays in exchange for rent. Now it's help
clean up the house on a daily basis to help out.
Clean up after herself.
Every day?
Clean up after herself.
And
then we also asked her to try to find a job so that she would be able to, if she was able to help.
That's not an agreement. An agreement is when one person says one thing and the other person agrees to do it. What was her agreement on rent?
About halfway through October, she found out she was getting an insurance settlement check. We renegotiated our agreement with her. We were going to charge her $300 for the month that she was there, and $300
This was when?
I'm sorry, halfway through September.
So in September,
we renegotiated.
You all agreed that she would pay you $300 a month.
Yes.
And watch the children how often? Or the child?
When needed, which was usually just based on Sundays.
She would pay you $300 a month and babysit when needed.
Yes.
Your Honor, we weren't paying her for, we weren't charging her for the bills or whatever, anything, the third of the bills.
I understand, but the contract has to be a little more clear than that typically. Ma'am, what do you understand the agreement to have been?
First, the agreement was supposed to be the first month free. And then after that first month, I'd pay $300. The agreement on babysitting was not every Sunday, no. It was every Sunday my sister's not babysitting. And I ended up babysitting while they went out to drink, babysit while they go out with friends. And it was about, it came out to the end maybe 4 times a week, and I have it down here.
You just told me that your understanding of the agreement was that it would be on Sundays when their sister wouldn't do it. That was the agreement?
Yep.
All right. What do you have there you want to show me?
I have
some volunteer sheets? That's a good thing. Everyone should volunteer. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I've got witness statements from numerous people, and then I would always be cleaning, and they'd help me. And there's one in there that was also a person that was there, my sister, saying that the first month was supposed to be free.
All right, and you all are saying the same thing
Your Honor.
about the babysitting. They said Sundays, you said Sundays, and that was the acknowledged agreement. So why are you suing her?
Your Honor, I also have my work schedule for the 2 months, and also a letter from my sister saying my sister took over babysitting because...
On Sundays?
Yes.
So what you're saying today is that she did not babysit on Sundays?
She did for about the first month, maybe approximately 5 times the whole time she was there.
How long was she there?
For 2 months. So it was about 5 Sundays.
You said she would only have to babysit some Sundays. Didn't you say
yes, that was the agreement, yes.
All right, and she did.
For the Sundays.
What months did she fail to pay?
September and October, sir.
All right.
And I do also have pictures of when she was getting her settlement check. We sat down on the couch and we talked about how she was going to split the money up.
How's she going to split her own money up?
Yes, she was asking me questions like what restaurant should they go to, stuff like that.
Restaurant? Should she go to eat at?
Yes.
So she didn't know what restaurants to eat at before she got her check?
She wanted a second opinion.
On where to take my family.
Okay.
Yeah. And I actually have text messages that I sent to them.
No, you can first tell me about whether you paid September and October's rent.
I was only supposed to pay for 1 month. I was there for 2 months.
You were there August, right?
The end of August. I got there the 23rd.
First month wasn't free though.
That was with our renegotiation.
There was no renegotiation, Your Honor.
Hold on. If you're referring to a renegotiation, the first month must have been free.
I think it got mixed up.
Clarify it. What are you renegotiating?
Because when she moved in, she didn't have a job. She didn't have no money coming in.
So
I
that
told
was
her,
free.
The first month went by, I said, you know what, you didn't get a job, you have no money, you got to leave. She said, well, I got my check, can I pay $600 and stay here another month? I said, yes. You stay
You're
another month.
contradicting yourself, sir. You can't tell a person, okay, go ahead and you can stay until you get a job. Then, within 30 days, okay, you don't have a job, so get out. But what is it you wanted to show me?
I've got text messages in here. There's one I sent where I said I can pay you the $300.
Read it to me.
I can give you the $300 like we agreed on the 15th. Someone used my card and tried to buy something, so I'm straightening it out.
Okay, so you're acknowledging there that, yeah, we agreed on $300,
Yes.
and I'm going to give you
And I tried to pay
that.
it, but he said no, he wanted $600.
But you sincerely, obviously, believe that it was only $300.
Yes.
And what you say today sounds more reasonable. Your counterclaim, $940 for babysitting and harassment.
Yes, the babysitting, I babysitted numerous times, and all those statements say it.
What's the harassment for?
Because all these text messages, there's a message in here where I said, no, leave me alone. They continued to text and they continued to call. So I had to turn off my phone.
How often?
They called me like 3 times almost for a few days each day. And then they text me, there's all right here on all the dates and everything. I said,
Saying
leave me alone.
what?
She says, you claim to be a big-hearted Christian girl, but you're not. You're fake. She says, I apologize for yelling, but you're not innocent yourself. Well, she's apologizing to me, but calling me fake at the same time.
Your witness want to speak.
Yes, my mom.
Come on up. State your name, ma'am.
Zelda Toth.
What do you want to tell me?
That one evening we were there for dinner, me, myself, and Josh. We were all outside, And he agreed, Mandy's got 1 more week, and then she has to start paying rent.
All right. I'm going to conclude that you owe them $300. However, ma'am, with regard to the harassment claim, that's not extreme and outrageous enough to be deserving of an award. Someone calling you a couple of times a day. With regard to your counterclaim for babysitting fees, by your own acknowledgement, you knew that the agreement was only on Sundays. Your counterclaim is dismissed, and I'll grant you all $300. Have a good day. Judgment.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I don't think it was appropriate that I sent sexual text messages.
I'm embarrassed that he did send sexual texts to a friend of mine, but you know, he was intoxicated and we've discussed it and I forgave him for it because he wasn't serious.
I think about him sending me those messages were disgusting and nasty, and it will always happen again because he drinks so much.